Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark, and thank you very much to Mayor Jermo and Mayor Bakoyannis. The sense of urgency absolutely clear, and there is immense opportunity and potential for real change. So, up next, absolutely delighted to introduce you to our final panel discussion. This is going to look at an innovative program by Danish philanthropy Realdania. It's scaled up climate action planning to cities and municipalities all across Denmark. The success of this program could very well provide inspiration to other countries and municipalities in developing a similar model. So please help me welcome to the stage panel moderator, CEO of Realdania, Jesper Nygaard. And he'll introduce his panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's a great honor to be here. You know, we're gonna cut down on emissions, and we're gonna cut down on panel time, in that order though. So we have to squeeze the program a little, and I will try to do it faster than originally planned. My role is to try to show you a way your country, your city can use to take Mayor Garcetti's fantastic race to zero and the whole idea of the C40 deadline 2020 and scale it to smaller cities. I'm representing a Danish foundation called Realdania, and we are one of the 3 strategic funders behind C40. We are very honored to be here today, and we're very honored to be a part of C40. When we started coming from small Denmark, being on a global scale, being a domestic foundation, we thought we could do something about the climate, doing it globally. But we have to take that knowledge back to our little society and make it usable for cities in Denmark. And that's why when we were in Mexico some years ago for the Mayor Summit, where Deadline 2020 program was developed and where Mark Watts made a fantastic presentation where you had the clock ticking in the background, if you remember that presentation. That inspired us to say, this organization, C40, is doing a fantastic job in making the Paris Agreement livable for mayors all over the world in bigger cities and in innovator cities. We want to say, could we do something about taking this back to our little country to scale it so this can be done in all Danish municipalities. So in 2019, we took the initiative to DK 2020. DK 2020 was a way of taking the same model as all the big cities is doing for even smaller cities, all the way down to cities with 3,000 inhabitants. And we took 20 cities and we had a very big success with that. We scaled it up, made a partnership with local government in Denmark and the 5 regions in Denmark. Concito was a partner both here and from the beginning. And we had 44 extra cities going along in 2020. And some few weeks ago, we announced that we had 21 more municipalities to participate. So we have 95 cities, plus Copenhagen, who is a C40 member, 96 out of 98 municipalities in Denmark who are in the race to zero and now have a climate action plan. Thank you. And now have a climate action plan, or almost have one compliant to the Paris Agreement. And we just want to show you this example. Maybe you can copy it to your country, to your city, trying to do the same so we get more into this race to zero. The first one I would like to invite on the stage is one of the mayors from a smaller Danish city, Erik Lauritsen, who's going to present how Sønderborg has done this in a bigger context with a big zero project as well. But Erik, welcome on the stage, and he will present from one of the Danish cities.
Thank you, Jesper. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to speak here today. Last time some of us met was in Paris during COP26. I have been the mayor of Sønderborg for now 8 years. And Sønderborg is in the south of Denmark, a very small municipality, 75,000 inhabitants, living in urban and rural areas, most of them very close to the sea. I'm representing a small city. So are there any learnings that representatives from bigger cities can draw from a Danish mid-sized municipality? Well, despite our size, we have come quite far in combating the climate challenges. We have been a Clinton Climate Positive project since 2013 and associated with C40 Climate Positive projects since 2015. Also, Sønderborg has been a front-runner in the DK 2020 Climate Action Planning Framework since 2019 in Denmark, using the same methodology platform as the much bigger C40 cities. Future and climate-oriented citizens in Sønderborg municipality already in 2007 created a vision that Sønderborg should become CO2 neutral by 2029. The vision was anchored in a public-private partnership and named Project Zero. Through the years, Project Zero has catalyzed a challenging yet exciting climate journey for Sønderborg and its citizens. From the beginning, Project Zero was based on a strong local collaboration, citizens' engagement, and growing stakeholder skills and knowledge, which has created a green Sønderborg DNA. The local politicians have been strongly committed to the Project Zero journey since its beginning. Last year, we reached our 2020 milestone with a 52% CO2 reduction since 2007. Our focus now is to reach 75% reduction by 2025, on track to achieve our zero carbon target by 2029. What have we done? We have reduced our total energy consumption with 17% since 2007. Although the companies are expanding and developing, we have reached this. We have implemented green district heating, biogas, solar parks, and wind energy production. We have engaged our farmers in energy savings and in delivering organic farm waste to biogas. We have converted all public buses to be biogas driven. And very important, our kids and youth are learning about energy and sustainable solutions in the schools and from the kindergartens. We are progressing the necessary climate adaptation actions that will protect Sønderborg's citizens and companies against heavy rain and sea level rise. As part of our DK 2020 project, we have just completed profound reviews of our climate action plans. Our most important must-win battles in the coming years will be reducing the CO2 emissions from agriculture, obtain massive electrification of cars, established a new coastal wind turbine park and develop power-to-X plants, and strengthens further our integrated renewable energy systems and its flexibility. The DK 2020 project has positively challenged Sønderborg's existing climate action plans and helped us to create a more robust safe and economically viable climate journey towards a net zero Sønderborg. Our ambition is to create an integrated renewable energy system that is designed as a microcosmos that can inspire much larger cities. And we believe it in seeing is believing, so just come to Sønderborg. Maybe next year when the IEA Global Energy Efficiency Conference will be held in Sønderborg. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mayor Lauritsen, and thank you for your great leadership. It's been very interesting to hear this presentation, and thank you so much for that. We'll get you back on stage in a minute or so. But now I would like to introduce a representative from a very inspirational cooperation partner. We have Leila Kildeskov, who's Director of Local Government Denmark. They have since 2020 been a partner on DK 2020, and we are so happy to have all the municipalities from Denmark participating in the project. So Leila, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here among all you front runners from the C40, to be very inspired. As you maybe know, in Denmark, all the welfare is provided by the local governments, schools, utility services, elderly care, and stuff like that. But now we're all sharing this huge challenge to also be front runners in the climate welfare challenge. So what I will go through today is the two main reasons why I think we were succeeding in scaling up your climate action framework. So thank you for that. I have here the organization, and what I think is one of the most important reasons why we succeeded in scaling up is first because we have a phase-divided entrance into the DK 2020 project. Copenhagen is here, the capital region, who was the first to enter it. Then we had the 20 green spots. They were phase number 1, and then we had all the red spots. They were phase number 2 and number 3. So they were inspiring each other to take part in this climate action framework. That's one reason. Then there is another reason. That was all the regionals, all the local mayors, all the regional mayors, and also the steering committee on a national level had a great political engagement. Like you hear, every mayor is taking part of this project in Denmark, so it's very, very strong political anchored. The third reason why I think the scaling was a success is that we have such great support from the great green think tank in Denmark called Concito, and the foundation of Realdania, and Jesper is behind this project as well. So both it was a divided scaling, it was political safe, and then it was supported by the greatest experts in Denmark. So this is how we made this scaling a very distributed and solid organization. One reason why we succeeded in this. And another one is, I think, in a fortnight there will be local elections in Denmark. And as you know, nowadays everyone wants to take part in saving the planet. So it's absolutely, maybe actually not possible to run for mayor in Denmark if you don't have a plan. And what was our goal here was so everyone who came in this challenge, they could take a shortcut by adapting the C40 climate action framework. So that should be my introducing to this. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Leila, and thank you for your great leadership. Would you please take a chair? And I would like to invite Mayor Lauritsen back on stage, and I would also like to welcome our very dear partner from Bloomberg, Anthony Williams, partner in C40, and and Eric St. Pierre, who's executive director from the Trottier Family Foundation. Also welcome to you on the stage. Thank you so much for being here, and we have now a little panel discussion, which I think is shorter than we have prepared, but I will do my best so everybody will have a possibility to say some of the things that we have talked about before. I would like to start with you, Anta, and now you have heard a little from Mayor Lauritsen, from Laila, and from myself about this. Now we have 20 Danish climate action plans that are ready, and we have 75 who are almost ready or underway. Could you say something about, do you see a global perspective in using this model? Can this be scaled up to other countries?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jesper, and it's a real pleasure to partner with you in this work and to hear the inspiration of the DK 2020 program. I think for us, just to see the momentum that's been created by these cities really setting strong targets, and Mayor Garcetti, as I'm sure we've heard, has been burning the phone lines like crazy to get 1,000 global cities to sign up for the Race to Zero. Just having come over from the COP Blue Zone kind of negotiations themselves, it's really clear that cities remain as critical as ever to raising ambition and then delivering real progress that cuts emissions and improves people's lives. And so to me, the promise of the DK 2020 work has been that it's really scaling the kind of incredible tools that C40 has created to a much broader set of cities. And at Bloomberg, one of the reasons we've been so thrilled about and supportive of the C40 work is that it just networks, of course, mayors to one another to really figure out what's possible and then how to do it in a very practical way together. And so, through the C40 network, through the European Commission and Bloomberg Global Covenant of Mayors project, that reaches out to 10,000 smaller cities and towns than C40, and to us, I think DK 2020 is a really good model for how you can take tools like C40's equity tool, the pathway tool, and bring them to a much broader set of cities in a very practical way. So really mean it when I say I'm very appreciative of the mayors across Denmark and to your leadership, Jesper, in bringing it together and really making it happen.
Thank you. That sounds good. It gives good hopes. And now on to you, Eric St. Pierre. The Trottier family is one of the big philanthropic funders of city and climate works in Canada. And just to say, it is allowed to change the DK 2020 to CA 2020. So do you see any Canadian perspectives in working with cities doing the Paris-compliant climate action plans?
Well, thanks for having me here. And Trottier Family Foundation is a foundation in Montreal, Canada, a bit smaller than Bloomberg, but we still pull our weight in Canada. A few years ago, we approached the city of Montreal, C40 Cities, the David Suzuki Foundation, and we approached the city offering assistance and capacity to develop a Paris-aligned climate action plan. So what that meant was three things specifically: technical modeling expertise to basically help the city of Montreal become carbon neutral by 2050, and discover how to reduce emissions by 55% by 2030. Second, we provided technical capacity to the city of Montreal from C40 and some other experts to really help the city's climate action plan. And third, we developed an advisory committee that advised the mayor and the city staff, who are here today, on creating a Paris-aligned climate action plan. We now have 46 concrete measures, climate test, we have a zero emission zone, and energy labeling for the city. So we've looked at this model with Montreal, and we've been approached by other cities and very inspired by the DK 2020 model. And we're currently exploring how we can scale this the Montreal experience, but to other cities in the Quebec region. Hopefully 3 or 5, but we'll aim big. Thank you.
Thank you. Shouldn't we give a big... So thank you for that, and good luck with that model. Laila, could you put some more words about and share some experiences? How has this DK 2020 project helped Danish municipalities, and do you have any findings or takes you could pass on to others, how, if they want to do something similar to what you have been doing in local government Denmark?
Yes, I think I have 2 small findings I could share with you now. That is, the first thing is that before we entered DK 2020, there was like 6 different frameworks for climate in the municipalities throughout Denmark. So everybody was actually already started, but on each their ways. So now, sharing this framework from the C40 cities, it's been much easier to communicate and to take part in each other's plans. So that's one finding. And another finding that I think we struggle with through the world is it has been a little bit hard to take this to rural areas. Because as you might know, we measure this CO2 emissions in where we produce it and not where we consume CO2. So the problem is that the rural areas would always come better out than the cities. So we have to make sure to each other that this is not a competition between municipalities, but it's a framework to ensure that we are all moving forward.
Thank you. You say it's not a competition, but didn't you have a feeling in the beginning when we did this that being some of the first, there was a little bit of a competition? I mean,
yeah.
To inspire people to engage in this has a little element of competition.
But I mean, I see it as my role in the local government organization to keep people together in this challenge. So, of course, there is also competition and inspiration throughout, but we just have to secure that it's not easier doing and taking this challenge in the cities than it is in the rural areas.
Thank you. Mayor Lauritsen, Sønderborg has been one of the leading municipalities in Denmark and taking a climate leadership for quite a long time through this Climate Clinton initiative and a lot of other things, just like you explained briefly in your short introduction. Could you say something about how has this helped you to step up? How has this helped you to be concrete, and how would it be able to help other mayors around the world to do the same, to be inspired by the C40 climate action plans?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have this this platform and this collaboration and the same way of counting our work. How do we measure how far we are and so on? And I have to take the word competition again, because in the start there was a competition. In Sønderborg we always said we were the front runners, we were so good and all that. Today I think it's a very useful competition. We make pressure on each other. You have to go further, and it's very positive. And I also think that this DK 2020 has made us stronger as municipalities, with support from Realdania and Consider. We have more power to the government, saying, you know, Bloomberg said it, the governments, they just talk and the cities act, and now we have the power to say to the government, you have to deliver the solutions, you have to deliver our possibilities to make the right things happen. And that's very useful, I think.
If out there on the virtual platform today or in the room here, if there's anybody who wants to get closer to the experience in Sønderborg on local government Denmark, would you be willing to talk to people and share your experiences, or is it a secret?
No, it's definitely no secret, and we really want to collaborate with everybody. But I think there are thousands and thousands of smaller cities like Sønderborg we can collaborate with, and we can maybe give some good ideas to them, and we really want to.
Thank you. And I think one of the experiences here is that we can reach the goal, but we cannot reach the goal only with the mega cities. We need the smaller cities, but we cannot do it without each other. So just like state and local government has to work together, big cities and small cities have to work together, because everybody has to participate in solving these problems. I know, Anthony, it's been said this is not a competition, and we are not for sure a political institution, but we lack 2 municipalities in Denmark, and not being a competition, we would try maybe to inspire them to be a part of this DK 2020. It could be fun coming from a little country who have all the municipalities. But could you see how philanthropy, other places than Denmark, could use this to scale up, to do something more in regions, having, just like you said with COP and all the other institutions, how can we take the climate action plans and make them alive in smaller cities? Could you see a role for philanthropy here?
Definitely. It's clear that even with philanthropies bringing a lot of resources to bear, it's never going to be enough resources to actually get done what needs to get done at the city level. And so to us, the role of philanthropy is really to try things out, to test, to show what's possible, to convene the right people, to share the best practices and lessons, and then to allow it to spread from there. I think the opportunity here is that you have made such an important contribution in setting an ambitious science-based target in all of these cities working together to get there. Now what the tools and those targets and climate action plans allow is for financing to come in. That's partly philanthropic financing, but in the end, it's going to have to be government money and private sector money to get to the scale of what we need. And so to have those plans on paper that are quite concrete, to bring in that longer term financing for scale is really important. The other thing, of course, is that plans and targets in themselves aren't enough. So it's almost like that this is amazing, and now the real work starts, because we have to deliver the policies and programs to actually put them in place. And so we see a big and important role for ourselves and other philanthropies there as well.
Thank you so much, Anta. It's very inspirational, and it's a big, you could say, task for all of us to trying to make this alive. Could I just end by asking you, with a Canadian perspective, do you see foundations work together with this? I understand you work together with cities, but do foundations also team up and do this together, or do you do that more individually?
Yeah, I loved what you said just about philanthropy thinking about sort of systems change and having limited capacity. So I think foundations need to work together. That's what we did with Montreal. We teamed up about 6 Montreal-based philanthropic foundations. So in looking at a DK 2020 model for Canada, we're going to need to work with a lot of other partners, including the philanthropic sector.
Thank you so much for your participation, and thank you for listening. I hope this has just been a little inspiration on how you could take Mayor Garcetti's excellent thoughts about Race to Zero and take the C40 model about climate action plan and make it very concrete for even smaller cities. So reach out to us from Sønderborg, from local government Denmark, from Realdania, from Concito. We are here today, and we are easy to find, emails or other way. Reach out to us if you want to have inspiration. It could be an SW 2020, it could be for Sweden, it could be in all countries in the world. You could take this model and scale up the ambition so smaller cities have a chance to do the same as ambitious big cities in C40. Thank you for listening, and thank you for participating.
I'm Aditya Thackeray, Minister Government of Maharashtra for Environment, Tourism and Protocol. As a proud Indian and from Maharashtra, I can truly say that we have committed 43 cities of Maharashtra to the Race to Zero. That's almost a population of 65 million people coming together, committing to net zero goals in the next few years. We're probably one of those subnational governments that really has institutionalized the Race to Zero through multiple programs and agencies of the government of Maharashtra. Hereby again, I commit to the Race to Zero wholeheartedly and with pride. Thank you.
Cieszyn jest małym miastem, które jak większość z miast również boryka się z problemami klimatycznymi. Biorąc udział w grupie Cities Race to Zero, chcemy skorzystać z dobrych praktyk, chcemy skorzystać z doświadczeń innych miast i dostosować je do naszych potrzeb miasta małego, zabytkowego, borykającego się z niską emisją. Chcemy zmieniać Cieszyn w miejsce dobre do życia, również pod względem ekologicznym.
Hello C40, I'm Mike Savage, the Mayor of Halifax, Nova Scotia, on Canada's East Coast. I'm so thrilled that Halifax Council has decided to join the city's Race to Zero. It was important for me that Halifax join this campaign to demonstrate that municipalities are ready to lead, ready to do the hard work to lower emissions in our city and our world. There's so much at stake, and Halifax is there with you all to get the job done. Thank you.
Queridos alcaldes y alcaldesas de C40, creo que es muy importante en esta COP26 que traslademos a los estados que la fecha clave es 2030, porque como nos dice la iniciativa Race to Zero, es imposible que si no logramos reducir a la mitad las emisiones en el 2030, será imposible reducirlas a cero en 2050. Y a la ciudadanía le estamos pidiendo muchos esfuerzos y mucha corresponsabilidad, pero es también momento de recordar que solo 5 países son responsables del 60% de las emisiones en el mundo y que 20 corporaciones mundiales son las responsables del 35% de las emisiones. Por lo tanto, le estamos pidiendo a la ciudadanía que consuma menos, que utilice menos el coche, que revise su forma de alimentarse, que utilice menos plástico. Pero ahora es el momento de que los estados realmente se comprometan. También las ciudades estamos liderando la respuesta al cambio climático, revisando todo nuestro espacio público, reduciendo la presencia del coche y de la contaminación, reforzando el transporte público, el uso de la bicicleta, haciendo rehabilitación energética de nuestros edificios, pero es sin duda el momento de los estados. Y creo que este es el mensaje de la COP26 y el que nosotros debemos lanzar con toda la fuerza y con toda nuestra unión. Y es que en esta década se va a decidir si protagonizamos una oportunidad perdida o un punto de inflexión real. Las ciudades estamos preparadas.
Thank you so much to everyone we've heard today already. We still have more to come. Jesper, thank you very much for your intervention with your panelists for their insightful conversation. And I really do hope that the DK 2020 model can take off in other parts of the world, other cities and municipalities. So I wanted to speak a little bit about what we've heard today. We've heard from many mayors already. We heard Anne Hidalgo setting out the state of the world a few years on from COP in Paris, where I was. In fact, I'm old enough to remember the COP in Copenhagen as well. We heard from the mayor of Bogota talking about the challenges and inspiration that she's been able to make with changing transportation and waste management. We heard from the mayor of Dhaka North about the challenges that migration brings. 50,000 people a day coming because of climate change, coming because of rising sea levels. We also heard from the mayor of Phoenix, from Kate Gallego, about the inspiration she takes when people show her what they have been able to do just through green jobs alone. So thank you all so very much. For the final portion of our program, absolutely delighted to have a series of remarks from the C40's leadership. Please do welcome back to the stage the C40 Chair and Mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti.
Thank you. Thank you, Edie. And let's thank Edie for her great emceeing. I know it was a challenging morning time-wise, but thank you for your great work as well. I get to introduce two heroes, environmental, urban inspirations for all of us. And it was such an honor when Mayor Anne Hidalgo handed over the role of C40 chair to me 2 years ago in Copenhagen. I remember feeling such pride mixed with fear and trepidation, the responsibility that lay before me, that my fellow mayors would ask of me, and also that our citizens demand of us. And to build on all that our previous chairs, David Miller, who's such an integral part of this organization and a former mayor of Toronto, actually give him a round of applause because he does such amazing work. Ken Livingston, Mike Bloomberg, who I will speak of in just a moment, and Eduardo País as well. All of these incredible mayors, they're like kind of in the pantheon. As you come up as mayor, there's certain mayors you look up to, and each one of them had done such an extraordinary job. So as I looked at launching this decade of climate action, I knew that a global need was out there, but we couldn't have imagined a global pandemic was right around the corner. And the way that we were able to communicate in this, the way we were able to push forward, really laid a foundation. As I joked a couple nights ago, I only wanted to be chair because I knew that we would be in a pandemic for 2 years and I wouldn't get to see any of you. But I am so pleased to be able to hand over this organization to really a dear friend. Forget the mayor stuff, just a dear friend and somebody who I believe in my heart as a great global leader. Sadiq Khan showed up with extraordinary leadership at the moment that we needed it. His commitment to his city, but his commitment also to understanding what connects cities together and what fuels cities. I've seen your brilliance, your commitment, how articulate you are, and you always wonder what's going to come next. I think each one of us lay a foundation, and to me to you, before that from Eduardo, that we just say, go and run. Bring your vision, be a mayor for mayors, and in this moment when London has been, okay, gotcha, super. in this moment, it's high tech that we're getting those messages like that. In this moment when we've been so pleased to be able to arrive here with the biggest commitment outside the national pledges, and I hope that the national pledges do exceed ours, but right now we're in the pole position, and we hope that we inspire 2 weeks of negotiations or 10 days left of negotiations that raise the bar too. I wanted to invite our new incoming chair. We'll have a month, and December 1st, you can say Garcetti is dead, Khan rises, long live the king. We've got a new king, and Mayor Khan, thank you for stepping up, because I know how busy it is and what demands we have as mayors to step up and to serve your fellow mayors and to serve your country. I hope the citizens of London realize how great it is for them, so selfishly why this is important, but also selflessly what you're giving to the world. Please welcome our incoming chair, Mayor Sadiq Khan.
Well, thank you. I want to start by thanking Mayor Garcetti. Eric, you've been an extraordinary friend and leader of C40 over the past 2 years at one of the most challenging periods for our cities in modern history. It's been a privilege to work with you, not only to tackle the climate crisis, but as we've sought to learn from one another as mayors of global cities. I know I speak on behalf of everyone here when I say we wish you well in your new role in what will clearly be a bright future on the international stage. Please, let's have a round of applause for Eric. I also want to take this opportunity to thank C40's CEO, Mark Watts, the steering committee, our vice chairs, and the whole team at C40. And also, I want to acknowledge the huge contribution our core funders, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, and Realdania make as well. Your foresight and commitment to this cause has been and will continue to be absolutely critical to our work. Please, a round of applause for our funders. Look, when Eric first became chair of C40 in 2019, he called it the most important climate change implementation group in the world. I couldn't agree more. With C40 cities now representing over 700 million citizens and more than 1/4 of the global economy. There aren't many things that come close to the mixture of emotions I felt when I was first elected mayor of my home city, but this is certainly up there. That sense of enormous pride, a recognition of the weight of responsibility entrusted in the chair, and the impatience to get stuck in. As we come together here in Glasgow, all the evidence shows that we are on the verge of a climate catastrophe. Humanity is truly at a crossroads, and time is not on our side. And that's why this conference simply must be the moment when national governments finally stop kicking the can down the road. As cities, we have a key role to play. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about taking on this role is because of the enormous potential of our cities to make a defining difference in this fight for the future of our planet. And as the Mayor of London, I've seen how cities can link together like never before to form the beating heart of our global economy. From Bogota to Barcelona, Dhaka to Durban, London to Los Angeles, Freetown to Stockholm. Together, we can and we must utilize the power of cities across the globe and continue to lead the charge when it comes to tackling the climate crisis. Taking the necessary action now, not in 10, 20, or 30 years' time, but now. We can change the frame of the debate from lofty mid-century targets to the investments we're making and the policies we're putting in place right now. This is about taking the tough decisions, placing urgency over expediency. I've recently had to make one of those big decisions in London. There were loud voices calling on me to delay the expansion of the world-leading ultra-low emission zone due to the pandemic. But it was too important to delay because it's literally a matter of life and death. So just last week, I increased the size of the zone 18-fold so that it covers nearly 4 million Londoners. The world has been putting off real action like this for far too long. The time to act is now. In London, I've set out to double the size of our green economy. Our low-carbon sector is now larger than our construction and manufacturing sectors combined. We're skilling up Londoners, particularly those who need our help the most for the green jobs of the future. As chair, I want to target C40's resources to help other cities around the world to do the same. And that's why I'm pleased to announce today the expansion of C40's Global Green New Deal program. Millions of dollars of additional investment will double the number of cities working with trade unions, community groups, and young people to ensure climate action benefits everyone in society. For me, social justice is one of the key reasons why the Global Green New Deal is so important, because the pandemic has not just exacerbated the inequalities in our societies, but have made it more urgent we take action. It's becoming clearer by the day that the consequences of air pollution and climate change are not being felt equally. Far from it. Air pollution is hitting the poorest communities the hardest in many cities, including London. Countries in the global south, which have contributed the least to climate change throughout history, are most severely affected, bearing the brunt of the climate chaos. I firmly believe that everyone, no matter their background, race, gender, religion, or location on this earth, should have the right to breathe clean air. In London, we've been able to take bold action, which is not only cleaning up the air Londoners breathe, but reducing carbon emissions at the same time. I want to help other cities to be able to do the same. So today, I'm also announcing that Breathe London, our flagship air quality monitoring programme, will become Breathe Global and be rolled out to nearly 100 cities. From Lima to Lisbon, Tel Aviv to Tokyo. There will be targeted high-level support for 7 megacities where air pollution is the highest, to enact projects that will, within 2 years, bring down global pollution levels. And as Chair, I'll seek to do more to support cities in the global south facing the worst consequences of climate change. I'll push for resilience to global warming to be given equal prominence to mitigation. And I'll ensure that funding and investment to support green recoveries can flow to the global south, not just the global north. And this starts with the C40 budget itself. So today, I'm also pleased to commit that our next budget will see 2/3 of our total funding allocated to the global south. Another one of my key priorities as Chair will be to foster collaboration and to be an advocate for mayors to have a stronger voice. The truth is that national carbon emission targets cannot be met without us. So I'll use my position as Chair to call on governments around the world to truly unleash the potential of cities by giving us the additional investment and powers we need to boost our green economies and accelerate climate action. We'll also seek to form new partnerships with public, private and community sectors to help deliver our goals, giving cities the tools to take citizens with us on this journey too. Let me end, friends, by saying this. As I take the baton from Mayor Garcetti, I make this promise to you all: to lead the C40 with the same passion, ambition and determination I've shown in London over the past 5 years. I'm not just confident, I'm convinced that our cities can harness the ingenuity of the human spirit to help conquer the threat of global warming. And in doing so, we'll be able to help fashion a new world after the pandemic that has as its guiding principle equality, fairness, and climate justice. A new world that works for both the global north and the global south. A new world that's fit for our children and grandchildren. A new world we can all be proud of. Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's my pleasure now to introduce a dear friend, Mike Bloomberg. Mike, you and I are both big believers in the idea that the more we empower cities to act, the more progress we can make. And the support you've given us in London to tackle the climate crisis has both shaped our city for the better and quite literally saved lives. Friends, Mike Bloomberg.
Well, Mayor Khan, thank you very much, and hello, everyone. When the mayor talked about 7 million people, I had just walked into the front row, turned my back looking for the 7 million. You're a representative group of the 7 million, but hardly a majority. Hopefully the majority does understand why you're here and what you're trying to do to help everybody in this world, not just the 7 million in London or the Eric, how many people in Los Angeles? 4 million? 8 million in New York. There's something like 7.5 billion people in the world, and we all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water, so we have a responsibility to try to help. Great to be here in Glasgow during this critical moment for the world and an important day for C40, and I'm looking forward to working with you, Sadiq, our new chair. But I want to start by thanking Eric, who's overnight becoming your predecessor, a new title. And during his tenure, which has been a very difficult time, we've made some real progress, and he has certainly done his part. Cities, as we all know, are on the front lines of the pandemic, something else that we had to face that we didn't really count on when the C40 was formed. But the fact that we've been able to make so much progress is really a testament to Eric and his team's hard work and a challenge to Sadiq and the rest of us to carry it on and take it to the next level. Eric mentioned how the successful Race to Zero campaign has been. That's going to make a big impact. And with C40 working closer than ever with the Global Covenant of Mayors, we really do have an opportunity to rally even more cities to the cause. And at the same time, Eric has continued to push Los Angeles forward. And you should know that his city, if he didn't mention it, sorry, I wasn't here for that, it is now, he never brag about this, it is now home to more solar and EV chargers than any other American city. So thank you very much. I don't own a car, but if I did, it would be an electric car, and I'd be very grateful for those charging stations. Seriously, this organization has always had great leadership, from Eric to former chairs, Mayor Anne Hidalgo, Mayor, and David Miller. David, where are you? Raise your hand. Ah, there you are. We welcome the French and the Canadians, we the Brits and Americans, I guess. Actually, it's not clear what America does, but that's a whole other issue. And now we're fortunate to have the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, taking over. Under his leadership, the City of London has been setting a great example to the world for years in so many things, and we're glad to work with him and his team on a number of issues, especially air pollution. He knows that climate change is a public health issue as much as an environmental one, and so we have supported his work to install neighborhood air quality sensors, especially near schools and we've just announced that we are expanding that work to lower income areas around London that are disproportionately impacted by air pollution. Sadiq, you should know, was also one of the first mayors of a global city to develop a plan for reaching carbon neutrality, and London has already reduced its emissions by almost 1/3 compared to 1990 levels. So a great start, just got to keep it going. We've seen firsthand that Sadiq does understand that the power of cities have to improve people's lives through climate action while also setting examples for national governments to follow. I've pointed out that in America, we closed coal-fired power plants at the same rate under Donald Trump that we did under Barack Obama. So it just shows you that the national governments really aren't the only thing that's important. It's great to have them along, but the truth of the matter is it's at the city level where we create the need for the power that is generated by coal. And so if we could reduce the energy consumption in the cities, we would be reducing coal usage dramatically. My urge to you is before you go out in the morning, you don't need it in Glasgow, but turn off the air conditioner and do some simple things like that, and you really can make a big difference. When people say, what can I do? The truth of the matter is each of us can really do something. And if you don't pollute a little bit, all around the world, 7.5 billion people benefit. If you do pollute a little bit, the reverse is true. This is critical to understand that we have this in our hands. The pivotal movement for the world, I think, is, and everybody says, I'm not going to take it anymore, and forces their companies and their governments and their families and themselves to pay attention, to understand the challenge that we face, to understand the risks that we run if we don't do what we need to do. And the fact that it is not hopeless, it's just difficult. Nobody wants to sacrifice. I understand that. I don't want to sacrifice either. But I do want to breathe clean air. I do want to drink clean water. I do want that for my children and my grandchildren and anybody that follows after that. So we're all in this together, folks, and this is just one of the steps. As countries recover from the pandemic and rebuild their economies, they also have a chance to put climate solutions front and center in the recoveries. The C40 Green Recovery Task Force, for example, which many of you are helping to lead, is at the forefront of this effort to identify those types of solutions. And we know that we don't have to choose between recovering from this crisis and preparing for the next one. The next crisis is already here. It's climate change, and the steps that we need to take to better prepare ourselves for the future are the same steps that should be taken to build a stronger and more resilient economy for the present. The false choice that we are always given of either or just isn't true. What is true is, with a little bit of pain and a lot of work, cleaning the air, cleaning the water can create more jobs than it takes away. We just have to do both sides of the equation. If you only do one, then you do deserve to be criticized. But if you do both, you can leave this world a much better place. At Bloomberg Philanthropies, we just announced, as many of you know, a new effort to help that global challenge. Over the past decade, our Beyond Coal initiative has shut down 2 out of every 3 of the coal-fired power plants in the United States and over half of those in Europe. Not by ourselves, but with others, all in this together. And now we are expanding that work and setting a new goal. The new goal is to close 1/4 of the world's existing coal plants and cancel all proposed coal plants by the year 2025. Let me repeat, 2025. If I do my math, that is 4 years away. And it's a practical time. I can envision what the world might be like, what my family and I might be like if hopefully I'm around 4 years from now. When I listen to people say they're going to do things by 2050, it leaves me not only cold, it's just outraged, because to have a goal that we know almost half the people that are alive today aren't going to be around to find out whether the elected officials, who certainly aren't going to be in office and making these promises, or corporate executives for that matter that do the same ridiculous thing. It is an outrage that people think that the rest of us are that stupid. If you make plans for 2050, don't bother to tell me about it. If you make plans for a reasonable time frame, it's a challenge, but it's something that we can do. We are going to also expand our work to 25 more countries where coal power is projected to grow rapidly, and we've got to stop that. We've got to make this truly a global effort to clean the air and reduce emissions, and cities will be critical to our partners in this work. C40 cities are leading the way, and by acting locally, they are helping their countries reach the national targets and hopefully exceed them that many of them have set. I know we're all eager to see where our chair leads us. You have a great challenge, Mr. Mayor, and we will hold your feet to the fire. You should just know that. All of you, thank you for coming. Thank you for participating in these events. We really together are making a difference. And when you go home tonight, I always end with this, just look in the mirror before you turn out the light. And you should be very happy to see somebody who's made a difference. And that should be, I think, all of our objective every day. Think of our families and think of what our families mean to us and what we're doing to give them a chance to enjoy life the way our generation has. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's time to wrap up, but before I do, a massive thank you to Mike Bloomberg, to Eric Garcetti, and also to Mayor Sadiq Khan. Thank you very much. The work and mission of C40 has really transformed and accelerated over the last few years, in large part due to your very hard work, active participation, and leadership. Mayor Khan, huge congratulations on becoming the next chair of C40. You mentioned in your remarks your ambition to harness the ingenuity and human spirit, and I have no doubt that the future is incredibly bright in your hands. So that concludes our program for today. Thank you so much to all for joining us, both in person and, of course, virtually. And can I now invite all of the mayors to come forward, please, and join Mike Bloomberg on the stage for a family photo.
Thank you.